Hello, my name is Randy Morales, and for this assignment, I chose to do a program evaluation on the rescue mission of El Paso. The reason why I chose this agency is because it's within the realm of where I want to go in the future as far as the population I want to work with, which is some of the most vulnerable individuals, those struggling with homelessness and addiction. And it was very interesting to do because I found many interesting things. So let's go ahead and get into it really quick. So the rescue mission is one of the oldest homeless shelters in El Paso. It was established actually in 1949, but officially it was established as a 501c in 1952. So it first started in a little building downtown out of someone's store. So they used their back offices and basements in 1949 in order to help the homeless population and those coming to and from the border for work. And then once the population started growing, it officially became a faith-based nonprofit. So the rescue mission has many different purposes. It's emergency shelter for one. It also has a recovery program, which is completely amazing because the recovery program that they have there, the rehab, is completely free to any individuals who are wanting or seeking help. So you don't have to pay for anything, and all the needs of the individuals are met within the shelter itself. They provide 3 meals a day for everybody, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But they also have social services there, which is tailored to each individual based on their situation and circumstance. But it's not just the shelter itself. They have many different programs within the agencies. They have a um, outreach program called the Corner of Hope. They have a donation center. It's like a community clothing closet. At one point in time, they had uh, a migrant shelter as well. But with the current administration coming into office this year, that had shut down. Um, but yeah, it has many different areas to the actual mission. So the actual mission of the rescue mission is to restore hope, dignity, and stability for those individuals facing homelessness and addiction. And through my research there, it speaks volumes what they do for these individuals who are struggling on the streets. They meet individuals where they're at in life and just try to give them hope and a future to look forward to. It has a combined ability of faith-based practices and social work principles with collaboration from different agencies within El Paso as well. So that's their main focus. Next, we have the actual social services. I'm sorry. So the social services, it actually provides emergency shelter, the meals, hygiene, and case management. Through case management, they help individuals obtain documentation, maybe food stamps, employment opportunities. They try to link them with different agencies such as Project Amistad. the Workforce Solutions, Texas Health and Human Services, just to get them in the right direction, trying to get them out of the situation that they were in prior. Um, Through empowerment and accountability, they focus on small goals with each individuals. They create a plan with them with three goals in mind, and they try to execute them within the time length that they are staying there. So each person is allotted 30 days, I believe. And then, depending on the person's ability to complete their goals with their caseworker, they're allotted more time after that. I think there's been individuals who have stayed about a year or so. Most individuals don't need that long, but just depending, maybe they're trying to get their disability approved, or sometimes getting documentation takes a little bit longer when you have to start from ground zero. Um, Even through the rehab, it takes about a year process as well. It's guided by an in-person environment. It's like its own little community there. Like everyone knows each other, everyone's familiar with each other. They share each other's struggles. And the beauty about the shelter is that it's faith-based. So they have church on Sundays and Wednesdays. They have different prayer meetings and Bible studies in the mornings. If anyone needs prayer, they could ask any staff member and they'll actually pray for them right then and there. Um, it feels like God is actually there within the agency, or you feel this sense of peace when you walk into the facility. Um, it feels, how do you say? You can feel the presence of God there. Moving on here. So this is their outreach center. It's another main priority of the actual shelter. It's called the Corner of Hope, Compassion Without Barriers. So this is the meeting people where they are type of setup. So when individuals aren't ready to come in off of this street, or they're still struggling maybe within their addiction and they're stuck within that cycle still, they still need to have their needs met. Basic needs such as showers, laundry, meals, and clothing. So this center offers all those services for them. It provides a small amount of case management in dire situations. And also the staff there can offer referrals to housing agencies and healthcare as well. They work really closely with Texas Tech there and another small clinic called Centro San Vicente, where they offer free services to homeless individuals. They can get things like medical attention, prescriptions, and referrals if needed for emergencies or follow-ups and things like that. Um, so the idea of it is trying to lower the barriers and trying to make people feel welcome, because there's already a stigma involved with being homeless or having an addiction. Society just has that biased within it, and that's what we try to do. We break down those barriers and allow people to come in as they are and love them as Jesus did. We try to build trust with the community and a connection. And, you come one time and you feel very nervous, and then the second time, you're not as nervous as the first time you came. So the more you come, you can see and understand there's actually people here that care for you. Um, it supports trauma-informed and culturally sensitive engagement. So we understand that addiction and homelessness are very hard places to be in. And most of the staff who work there at the moment actually have been in those shoes before. So they've walked the walk, they've seen what it's like, and they can identify with the community, and it helps them feel as if they're not alone anymore. And then the third service delivery is the rehab program, which is the relapse prevention program. Um, it's a 90-day, 13-week program, which is faith-based as well. So it uses cognitive behavioral therapy and motivational interviewing therapy. This is a really interesting program because, like I said before, it's free and all the needs of the individuals are met within the actual facility, but it has different classes integrated within the actual program itself. So a big study that they use is Terrence D. Gorski. He's a relapse prevention specialist, and his material is very encouraging. And that's the main idea that they pull from Islam as well as faith-based. So they have their Bible studies and an overcomers class. But alongside with those, they have a fitness program and then one-on-one counselings weekly. So within the program also, they try to focus on coming out of that old behavior of where they once were, the old ways of thinking and behaving and acting, and create new skills for themselves. So they use coping skills, emotional regulation, and accountability. The program itself does have a lot of rules implemented within it. Um, there are complaints of the difference in individuals who come through, such as volunteer basis and individuals who are court ordered. So there's always such an interesting balance within the program itself. It's co-ed, it's for men and women. I think I made a mistake there. It's for men and women, but it's such a inspiring program, and it's beautiful to see how individuals change from the first day that they get there to their graduation day. It's a complete transformation and renewed feeling, knowing that they could have some hope for their future. And next, we have evidence-based foundations. So I found these two studies that supports cognitive behavioral relapse prevention as an effective way of reducing use or returning to use. Um, and then the second one conforms motivational interviewing, increases motivation and treatment engagement. And I think these two both align with the Rescue Missions program. Um, it uses the individual's own motivations, their own aspirations as ways of coming out of that trauma, of that where they're stuck between a hard place. A lot of the individuals come there at their rock bottom and they're such in a low state. It's hard to have hope. So trying to grasp on what inspires them, on what motivates them itself, and then retraining their thinking throughout the 90 days, identifying, oh, this is how I used to think. This is my old behavior. And then challenging that thought with, okay, this is how I'm going to start thinking now. And I thought that was is two really important articles that would support the rescue mission's whole policy and foundation. Community needs and research opportunities. So their local needs offer connected services to affordable housing, which they actually have there at the facility as well. One of the limitations is that their housing, the low income housing, is for men only. Um, I think there's some plans in the future to try to make that for women as well, but that's in the talks still. Um, they collaborate through employment opportunities with different agencies like staffing companies and um, different job employers around the actual shelter itself. Um, and bilingual mental health support. I think that's very important here in El Paso, especially because we're a border town. So bilingual support is needed here. And a lot of the individuals who come through the shelter, it's such a wide range of individuals, migrants coming from Iran, coming from Canada. Up north, we had a lot of individuals coming from Venezuela at one point. Um, so bilingual services are very important, and we offer in Spanish, but we try to meet the needs of all individuals. Um, Homelessness linked to addiction, trauma, and poverty. So they're all interconnected as one. So we try to work with all the agencies through mental health, counseling services, local doctors, food banks, churches, in order to try and combat homelessness and addiction itself. Um, I did find some research gaps when I was doing my research this week. Um, so there are limited data research out there for the rescue mission only because it's a nonprofit and they don't get any funding from the government. So it's a private entity, so it doesn't have to abide by any standards or rules through the state itself. So it was hard to find data itself on the rescue mission. There could also be collaborations with different universities in order to fill in those gaps wherever there is missing employment opportunities, or maybe they can start getting grant money with the county or the state in order to do housing first opportunities and then try to get people stable that way. Um, Next. So policy environment. So these two, I think, coincide with the rescue mission itself because of their services that are offered with them. The Texas Homeless Housing and Service Programs and Continuum of Care. So because it's not funded by the state, it doesn't have to abide by the THHS program, which all the other shelters in the area have to abide by, and they get money for, I think this fiscal year, the state of Texas, or El Paso, I should say, was allotted $350,000 for El Paso in order to combat homelessness. And we don't get any of that because we don't have to abide by the state policies. But it would be good to maybe consider that in the future because, through money, you could offer more services and more support to individuals in those vulnerable situations. But other than that, they do collaborate with the Housing Authority and agencies such as Project Amistad, which puts people in homelessness at the top of the list. So they try to get them out of the shelters and into apartments really quick. They offer, say, 3 to 6 months of paid rent and sometimes even pay for deposits for individuals just to get them in their apartment. Um, Organizational policy. So the relapse prevention program does require sobriety and a structured participation, but there are a lot of rules involved within the program. So they don't offer any detox services, and it's sobriety, sobriety, sobriety. So it might not be the best option for individuals who are not ready for abstinence yet, because yeah, I feel like with addiction, sometimes it's pick and choose, and their program, it's one way or that's it, you have to be sober. It's very structured in that way from the very beginning, from when it first started. Pathways to improvement and lasting impact. So, on a micro level, I believe that there could be tailored case planning using outcome data and celebrate client milestones, just to use as motivation with the individuals one-on-one. So after creating these goals and meeting those goals, you can celebrate with the individuals and, saving that data in order to use in the future. On a meso level, evaluate program retention. How well is the actual program doing itself? How long are these individuals staying sober for? When they relapse, how long is the relapse for? Is it one day? Is it 2 weeks? Stuff like that. And then on a macro level, we can share success stories with policymakers so they could advocate for more housing and more funding for individuals in El Paso, or making the access to those services much easier. With using measurement-based care tools, you can help individuals, succeed better. You could expand on their support services using peer um, specialists. I know there's an agency here in El Paso who has used those type of services before. They're called peer coaches, and they go through a 9-week training program. And I have seen the effects of using peer coaches work with individuals succeeding, at a tremendous rate. It just keeps them off the street and it keeps them coming back for more. So I think the rescue mission could um, really use something like that. and then publish annual outcome reports, how are individuals actually doing? Um, just share these success stories on a yearly basis, to help inspire individuals maybe who aren't ready or are looking for those services to come off the street. But other than that, it was a really awesome program to study. It was super stressful. Nonetheless, if you heard me talking about we, I actually worked there and I thought it was a super interesting project to do on my place of employment, which it was. I learned where we could do better as a homeless shelter and what things we're actually doing right. I really love the idea of research in social work now. At the beginning of the course, I was very combative to the material, and now I understand why research is important for social work. So I really enjoyed this project nonetheless. These are the two main references that I used, and that would complete my project. I hope you really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to having you in the future. Thank you.